Well, this week we got a couple things to go over here. So we are going to talk about Pearl Jam towards the end of the episode and their new album, Dark Matter. But first, we need to discuss a little bit this Kendrick Lamar versus Drake and Drake versus everybody situation that we have going on in hip hop right now. So I told you before the show a couple hours ago, I was like, you got to listen to Euphoria, the latest release from Kendrick Lamar, because it involves some pretty biting and revealing lyrics about one Drake, another luminary in the hip hop industry. So, having listened to Euphoria, what I'd like to get first before I kind of explain a bit about why it happened, kind of what's led up to this, I want to just know your initial kind of gut reaction to it.
It was hurtful. It was some hurtful shit. I wonder, because you told me who it was about before I listened to it, and I
Mhm.
don't think if I knew that I would have automatically assigned it to Drake. Because here's the thing about me and Drake: I've never listened to enough of him to have a
Mhm.
real opinion either way. It's not for me, but everyone seems to fucking hate this guy, and so just like if he's a dude, like so why does everybody think he's such a big douchebag?
So he there a laundry list of reasons, but the main ones that Kendrick Lamar was talking about was one, and this is something I'm not sure how much we are going to be able to comment on this. It just is what it is, and the song is commenting on his like blackness, so to speak, and like how much claim he has to a certain word that they're able to use. And it was, I mean, very very funny. I know exactly what he means when he says that, but that's one of the reasons why people don't like Drake and other hip hop artists don't. Another reason is kind of how he treats women. He mentions in this song how the women that Drake messes with, they don't consider real women. And take that for what it's worth. As far as judging, whether someone's a real woman or not, I think we have just as much right to comment on that as we do on the previous thing. But those are just some of the reasons that Kendrick is kind of going after him here. And honestly, I think Drake calling him out or jumping into the thing with J. Cole is what kind of pissed Kendrick off in the first place. He was like, "You have no business even like doing this with me," is essentially what he's saying in this song. So kind of the way it happened was J. Cole released a song, and this seems like years ago that this happened at this point. J. Cole released a song that was a diss against Kendrick Lamar. And then shortly after that, walked it back, said he apologized for it. He shouldn't have released it. He didn't want to release it. He loves Kendrick Lamar. The To Pimp a Butterfly album that he specifically mentioned not being good in his diss track, he said, I love that album. It's classic. So basically walked back everything, stepped out of the ring and said, I'm out. It's like in the Royal Rumble when Kane showed up and guys just hopped out of the rings.
Drew Carey did that
Yeah,
once. Drew Carey
yeah.
was in the WrestleMania Battle Royal once.
It's like one of those things where he's like, you know what? Never mind. I'm good. And after this song by Kendrick Lamar, maybe the smartest man alive, Time may nominate him for Man of the Year, just because that was maybe the most brilliant thing he could have done is just step out of the way. Once he did that, though, Drake decided to hop in and release a song about Kendrick Lamar as well. It was had a bunch of lines about Kendrick Lamar being short. How can you be a big stepper when you wear a men's size 7? That sort of thing. Some pretty funny, clever lyrics. Like Drake is a good rapper. For whatever you might say about him, I do think he's like the Taylor Swift of hip hop. For as much as I can stand what he does, he's just popular for reasons I can't explain, and that I probably will never understand. So Drake released that song about Kendrick. And then Rick Ross releases a song about Drake. And clearly, like Rick Ross has been waiting a long time
Jesus.
to release that song about Drake. Like he's like, oh, I got my reason to do it. I hate this guy, and released it. And that was extremely funny because Rick Ross is a very funny rapper. And then Kendrick released on a Tuesday morning, Euphoria. And the things he says in this song almost made me feel bad for Drake. Like he hit on him being a bad father. He hit on his claim to be part of the culture. He hit on his like how he treats women and the women he chooses to be around. And the way that he does it is so layered, which is insane. Like there's a point where he says, like V12, where is it here? There, it's going to take me a second to find this. V12, it's a fast one. Bow, 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 last one. Headshot for the year. You better walk around like Daft Punk. So right before that, he says, let your core audience stomach that, then tell them where you get your abs from. So V12 is apparently like a medical procedure that creates abs. So you think he's talking about, like he says V12, that's a fast one. You think he's saying a V12 car is a fast one, but he's saying the V12 surgery is a fast one. Like Kendrick is insane with the things that he does. Like you don't have to go that deep. Like he makes it at surface level just as good, but he has those like layers to it. And then when he says headshot for the year, you better walk around like Daft Punk. Daft Punk wears helmets. Like it's like really wild how deep he gets with that. But I think by far the funniest thing that he says in this whole thing is where he's talking about, okay, when I see you stand by Sexy Red, I believe you see two bad bitches. I believe you don't like women. It's real competition. You might pop ass with them. when I, when I heard that, and it just, the problem for Drake is that I don't think there's any arguing against this. This was not like this song you did was bad. This movie you were in was bad. This was your personality sucks. You as a father suck. You as a man suck. Like it's hard to argue against those things. Like cuz all you can say is like no I'm not, you are. It's like that's the only kind of comeback you can have to this. And so it's crazy to me because Drake has been like generally a very good like battle rapper, I guess so to speak. So he basically ended Meek Mill's rap career. I mean, made him so irrelevant for a while that it was kind of astounding that somebody on the way up like Meek Mill was just got ended that quickly. I think the song was Back and Forth by Drake and he did it at Summer Jam or something and put up all these pictures and memes and stuff of Meek Mill the whole song, like just completely roasted him, and it was funny. And then Pusha T released that song, The Story of Adidon, which is about Drake's son and exposing the fact that Drake had a son. Like nobody knew before that. So Drake took a loss there. And then he took what I assume is going to be a big loss here because I just don't know because Kendrick Lamar, if he's able to do this, like he's probably got so much more in the tank. Like he's probably ready for another round and he might release another song before Drake does. It's just what I love is how much he hates him and how much you can feel that. Like everything he said, he did a Canadian accent, called him a fake gangster, all that. I mean, just an absolute masterclass.
Well, and that's Drake's real problem is if you're the tattletale in class, if you're the kid that nobody fucking likes, do not join the pile on. The worst thing you can do is join the pile on because that is nuclear proliferation. Like
Mhm.
these rappers are just sitting around, like you said with Rick Ross. When you said that, all I could picture was him like in a Kim Jong-un suit with his finger hovering over a button, just like, ooh, give me one reason. And so like you can once you declare, you know what I mean? Once you fire your nuke, you're part of the great game now. You're
Yes.
fair game. So everybody's gonna come after you. And the J. Cole thing is weird because it's like you really it is almost like 10 things I hate about you. I love your big dumb combat boots, but most of all, I love the way that I don't hate you. Not a lot, not even at all. That's how that situation strikes me as some kind of like jilted super fan type thing. Like obviously he did love the album and he pretended he didn't to try to hurt him.
Mhm.
Like when Chris Christie said that he didn't love Bruce Springsteen anymore because Bruce Springsteen called him a stupid fat fuck. And like Jimmy Fallon and Obama and the three of them did. So I don't fucking know. All I know is Chris Christie's a thin-skinned motherfucker.
Yes.
But yeah, it kind of seems like these are the dynamics in play behind the scenes with hip hop. And I think for Drake, the worst mistake he could have made was waiting in there. So he has no
Yeah.
one to blame but himself. Whether any of this shit is true or nice, he has nobody to blame but himself. I do
Mhm.
not feel bad for the man.
No, I will never feel bad. And I mean, it's not going to matter. His fans are still going to love him. But yeah, just absolutely insane that I just don't know why you think Kendrick Lamar is the person you want to do that with. I think you should go for somebody that's more in your lane because
Well,
it's like,
especially if you're the Taylor Swift of hip hop, you know what I mean? What would be the
mhm.
equivalent of that for Taylor Swift? Like what Queen when she come at and totally whiff.
Probably like Mitski.
They're more contemporaries than anything, so maybe like Beyonce, because there is kind of
Yeah.
that history there.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift trying to be like, let's start a blood feud with Beyonce. I don't care if there are more Swifties. I don't care if they're violently out of touch with reality.
I feel like
Beehive.
I feel like Beyonce might just be waiting till the right moment when she feels like just ending Taylor Swift's career by doing one of those diss tracks, because she'll be at such a higher level of writing something like that than Taylor Swift will ever be.
Well, here's the thing too. So we've got a third. Oh my God, Jeff, we got a third album coming in this Beyonce cycle to go with
Mhm.
Renaissance and
Do
Cowboy
you think
Carter.
she
And
takes like girl pop?
do you think she does cottage core?
Oh man, if she, yeah,
Can you
yeah, I think
imagine?
that God, it should just see like all the advertisement and stuff they did for the Casey Musgraves new album, where she was like waiting, walking through fields and like curled up in the grass and like hanging out with little baby sheep and stuff. If that's like the vibe for Beyonce's next album, that'd be incredible.
Absolutely, just infinity
Yeah,
scarves up the wazoo.
yeah, and she would. I mean, I feel like Beyonce would get like very clever with how she would just cut Taylor Swift down. That would be absolutely incredible. And Taylor Swift would call her like a slithery little snake or something like that.
Yeah, whatever her dumb the new album, man, that sounds unhinged.
Yeah,
Obviously, I haven't listened to it. I might at some point because you kind of got to know the depths of this thing because it's even divided the fandom. You can
yeah.
believe that. We cannot afford a civil war with the Swifties. We'll
How
all get
does
sucked into it.
how does girlfriend of the pod feel about it?
I actually haven't collected any data on that yet.
Okay.
I don't know if she's listened to the whole thing.
Okay. Well, I'd be interested to see, because I think she's a pretty dyed in the wool Swifty, right?
She's the resident Swiftie.
Well,
You know how many
I'd be
times I've
interested
had
to see.
to sit through the 10-minute Jake Gyllenhaal stole my virginity metaphor as a scarf song?
Yeah, that's I don't think I've heard that's like the new version of
I
that
have
one,
parts of
right?
it memorized, Jeff.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
kept
think
me like a secret, but I kept you like an oath.
yeah, and but that's the thing, right? That's exactly why people like she just gets those little tossed off little lines and people latch onto them. Just is what it is. Something I'll never be able to explain or
I don't know,
understand.
man. She's pretty good.
Pretty good at sucking.
It's just instant Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, it just sucks. That's all I can really say about it. Yeah, we won't be doing that album on here, and I'm glad we're not. I think you're right though. It's had a very divided reaction. So I saw a little sidebar before we get to the Pearl Jam. We'll get there. Went into the Newberry Comics on Newberry Street there in Boston, and they had the whole lineup of all the different versions of the album by Taylor Swift, the new one. And I don't know how many there are. I'm sure like there's a Target exclusive, a Walmart exclusive. I'm sure there's fucking 18 of them you could buy if you wanted to. They're all different. But that's exactly what she does. But these albums, I shit you not, 51.99 for these albums on vinyl
What?
at Newberry Comics. It's not like this is a resale place, and it's not as if you need to buy these things like resale, because they probably printed a billion of them knowing exactly how many they were going to sell. But it's like that's wild to me, even if it's a double album. Like that's crazy to me.
That's the cheapest you're ever going to see George Harrison's triple album. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy to me, and I guess I'm used to seeing like the double gatefold albums, like those sorts of things go for about $40 normally. But what's crazy to me is that the reason she released all of these different versions of it is because she wants the fans, and she knows there's a lot of fans that are going to buy 6 different versions of that album. And if you think about like, okay, 51.99, that's not that much more than 40. But if they buy 6 of them, it's $300 they're spending. And it's just that to me, I feel like it's so like exploitative of the fan base, and I just can't, like, even as a diehard Coheed and Cambria
I
fan,
was just about to say,
one of
for the
the
guy that spent extra money to become like a black card child of the fence and get
yeah,
his name carved into the Stanley
but the
Cup of Ages or whatever you guys believe in.
but the thing is, like, I feel like it's such a different level where it's like I know those merch sales and stuff is like how that band makes a living. You know what I mean? Like they're not like obscenely wealthy. Like she doesn't need to do that. Like if it really matters to her, if she really cares about the fans, she would release like one version of the album or do like the black vinyl and then one specific like limited edition version, whatever.
But
But
capitalism doesn't need anything. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Want.
that's I know. It's just that's the and I guess to each their own, but to me it'll never make sense
Yeah.
why you do that.
Why throw it away on a Swifty?
Yeah. And the other thing is too, I feel like Coheed and Cambria, like you get kind of a lot for that. Like they do 2 tours every year, and they couldn't really do that if they didn't make money. And I think most all of their money comes from the merch. So like the t-shirts and stuff like that. And
You get a free bowl of soup with
yeah,
that?
but it's I think the other thing is too, it's there's not as much of a stigma if someone's just like a casual Coheed fan, they're not spending all the money. It's like I feel like the Swifties is like a pyramid scheme, like a multi-level marketing. It's like which kind of regional boss are you? Are you buying 15 of these bad boys? Or are you just a little lowly employee on the totem pole and you're buying 5 of them?
Which part of the organization do you work in? Which the tortured poets department? Is that where you're from?
Yeah.
I'm from HR.
And you know
You're in a
what?
lot of trouble.
I would be honestly, I'd be like super interested to see like what the percentage of self-proclaimed Swifties that are also involved in like multi-level marketing schemes.
I'm sure
I'd be
there's
like,
a healthy Venn diagram there if you look at it.
I feel like the Venn diagram is going to be tight on that.
Yeah.